Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building, Gesille Dixon, and she's a librarian.
Did he say your name right?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Good job. Thank you.
And I think tomorrow is National Libraries.
Well, today.
Well, today is National Library Workers Day.
Yes, today's National Library Workers Day.
Yes.
So we thank you for joining us.
Honor.
When's the last time you guys have been to the library?
The library? I took my daughter to the library maybe a year ago.
Yeah, me too. I
Yeah.
took my son to the library about a year ago.
All right, well, let's talk about the library and the resources that they have and why people should be going to the library more.
Okay. So people should be going to the library. I've been a librarian for 17 years, 19 years at the New York Public Library. And, every day we see it change lives. Just yesterday there was a story about a young kid, it's his spot for after school because his dad can't pick him up. And it's more than, just a babysitting because, his math teacher saw the results and asked, well, what are you doing? And he said, I go to the library after school every day. So I think it's awesome. It changes lives. It connects our seniors, quite often they're home alone, so they get to come out and socialize with other folks in the community.
There's a lot of resources that the library has, the New York Public Library in particular, that people aren't even aware of. So let's talk about some of those resources that aren't just reading books.
Right. So we have our databases. So kids come in and they do research, but then we often have folks looking for genealogy information, family history, and quite often free computer classes, job searches. So, it's a lot of free resources. And I'm going to say that a lot. Free,
right?
At the public library.
You know what I noticed too? I saw that they also have a database of scripts. Like if you wanted to be a screenwriter, there's a lot of very valuable scripts in the library as well.
Yes, so we're more than Google. A lot of people think of everything's on Google, but the librarians, you come in and they help you navigate and find those databases for more because a lot of the students are looking for opportunities. So you come in, you get help, and yes, those scripts are awesome. And students use it.
So what can I get at the library that I can't find online?
What can you get at the library?
Judy Blume books.
Oh, I love Judy Blume
yes,
books.
Judy Blume books.
I grew up on those.
You have, access to even, I'm currently reading a lot of things on audiobooks. I know some people prefer paper copies, but audiobooks are cool because you could travel and have as many. And we currently have our Simply E app. So some of the things you could find at the library.
Original books, because I had a chance to go see Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn book, the original first copy of it.
Yeah, so
which is amazing.
Yeah, so at the research libraries, I know we do exhibits. There's like The Raisin in the Sun a couple of years ago, like that was on display. So it's a lot of primary resources that, students may feel they don't have access to if they visit a branch library, but we're focused on the next generation of researchers, and that's our young people.
How can people donate books? I have I purchased a school.
Nobody wants your old books.
No, I
you
purchased
was
a
sitting on
school
the
in
toilet
Jersey.
reading.
I purchased a school in Jersey, and we have tons and tons and tons of reading books. And I know there's a lot of people out there that probably have books, encyclopedias, and you don't want to throw them away. So how can people donate to a library? Do you know?
Well, we try to keep the most recent information. So sometimes encyclopedias, people tend to just keep it and they're outdated.
Okay.
So we do get new encyclopedias every year, and then we circulate the older copies because some kids, like myself growing up, having an encyclopedia was cool because you can research anytime.
Right.
But now, you have access to online resources 24 hours. A lot of people do that. So currently we do accept donations, and then it would go to like the correction facilities. Popular fiction, no textbooks. And of course, we did work with the laundromat and one of the local branches, just getting books in spaces like that. So kids are always reading. So when you hear of other projects, around the country where in the barbershops, they're encouraging, kids to read. So just having books in a space for a child is so important if they can't get to the library. I know you guys said your kids haven't been in a year. They have access, in other ways.
With me. No, they go, their school has a
library.
Okay,
my daughter goes to their school.
But some schools, by
me.
third grade, they stop going to the public library, so they're kind of like left on their own to, get there with a parent. I'm a working mom, so I get there on weekends with my kids.
Well, in my neighborhood, they have tutoring sessions at the library.
Yes.
And they also do group sessions at the library that students are required to go to, so they have to go.
That's great.
School.
It just seems kind of weird to still, I guess, have a public library when you have access to so many books
Well,
elsewhere?
It's still a place for people to get together and socialize. Like I said, a lot of our seniors,
Can't
they're
talk in the library.
retired. Well, no, you can't.
There are certain spaces that you can't talk.
We make noise in the library. My Tremont branch, we have a sound lab, and we're cool in the library. We do fun things, after school.
Computer training, like you said.
Yeah, to keep kids engaged, and to activate our spaces. Because I get it. People see libraries as, it's boring. All they do is read. But, we really try. Yeah, well, people think, my family thinks all I do is read all day. And I was like, I don't read. I'm trying to get through a book or two. I do audiobooks now because I'm always on the go. Yours is on my list, Shook One.
Thank you.
Because I really enjoy when it's narrated by the author. I think it's cool. Like when I listen to The Last Black Unicorn, my kids are like, what are you doing? I'm preparing dinner. And they're like, what are you doing? Because I'm cracking up. She was hysterical, and I loved it. And I think if I read it, Tiffany Haddish. So if I read it, it probably would not have been as exciting as hearing the author themselves read
Kevin's
it.
book is like that too, though. But I mean, they're comedians, though. So
yeah. So well, the same thing with Becoming.
Yes.
Like I was immersed. I couldn't put it down. I neglected doing a lot of work stuff, but I got through it.
I read that on the way to Africa.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really enlightening.
Don't they also do English as a second language classes also?
Yes.
There's a lot of important resources, not just books.
Not just books. So we have our English for speakers of other language programs, like the tech classes. We have a lot of seniors interested. The Mott Haven Library, they're currently doing a documentary series where the documentary center comes in and they teach, it ranges, seniors, high schoolers, college students, how to document their life story.
That's amazing.
Because I feel like we all have a story.
Right.
Even if we don't put pen to paper, we've done oral history projects where communities, members of communities come out and just share their stories. Because, a lot of history dies, so it's very important. I think reading allows people to learn about history, to really, know what's happening in the world.
Libraries are still popping, though, because when I used to be on Twitter and I used to see people say, "Yeah, I went to the library to get your book, but it's checked out," and I'm like, "Why are you going to the library?" I used to see that
people
a lot
really
because it's free.
Yeah,
it's free.
Yeah.
Not everyone, have the funds to order
Even to have
Amazon.
computers, you might not have a computer at home, so
Correct.
I'm going to go to the library
Or Wi-Fi. So
Yeah.
we do circulate hotspot devices.
Free Wi-Fi.
Free Wi-Fi. So, students, low-income neighborhoods, they can have access as well. They don't have to camp outside one of our branches after hours to access, Wi-Fi.
You know what libraries need?
What do we need?
Starbucks.
They do have food.
Yeah, the
Well,
Schwartzman.
Barnes and Noble does. I don't know.
That's
if
what I'm saying.
libraries
That's
do.
why libraries
The
need
library
Starbucks.
on 42nd Street,
Yeah.
the Times Square one has a whole food area.
Yeah. So we
Not
have a food
Starbucks.
court in Schwartzman.
Now, what
the
about-
Schwartzman building?
I know when I was a kid, we used to go to the library. This is going to sound bad, but we used to rent out video games. Do y'all have video games still?
Yeah, video games at
We
the library.
we don't have video games to rent, but we do have gaming programs. Like I said, part of folks coming to the library, so they see it as fun, and then we engage them and expose them to other
Wheel them in and catch them.
Yeah, other activities. So, video games sometimes, they need a little downtime after getting out of being in school all day. And then we do have some programs where you sneak a snack, so there's some eating happening. Don't tell anybody.
The sneak a snack
They
program.
sneak a snack program. Yeah. So, because they're hungry after,
Right.
all day at school. So gaming, we do have some programs, But some of the kids, it's funny because you say gaming, they like board games, believe it or not. And I was like, I remember board games, Chutes and Ladders, so.
Chess, checkers.
Yeah.
Monopoly.
And then we try to tie it back to our books, though, the collection, because that's very important.
You know what I did when I was at the library? They have in the kids section of the library, they had the whole history of Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
And things like that are interesting to me. It makes you look at just a whole book collection differently. Like you got to see the original Winnie the Pooh bear. You got to see how the whole entire story was derived.
Right.
And then the whole evolution of how Winnie the Pooh looks the way that he does today.
Yeah, that's dope.
What some of the original characters were when you saw, I think things like that to me are really fascinating.
You find out why he lost his pants.
See? I knew it. I knew it.
Oh, goodness.
I knew that.
No. I know. And I feel like that's the important piece because kids often would read things and, their own imagination. And then, like, you see something live like Winnie the Pooh and you're like, oh, okay.
That's how Winnie the Pooh was invented or created.
Yep.
And then, you know what else they have? They have a whole entire catalog of all the magazines ever. like magazines from way back in the day that you could see like the first issue of a Vibe magazine or something like that. They have a whole entire like original magazines.
Jet magazine.
Jet magazine,
comic
everything.
books. I think the comic books, we did an exhibit maybe 2 years
Marvel.
ago. And it was a comic book. It was 1968. So the entire year, like all of our branches did displays. So it was great going to see the exhibit around the comic book collections. And I was like, oh my goodness, I hated comic books growing up. But as I got older and the movies came out, I was like, oh, this is fun.
That should interest you, Charlamagne, to go see the comics.
I don't have a problem with the library. Like, my daughter started, I think she hasn't been in a while, but she still goes to the public library from time to time.
Yeah, no, my kids have to go.
Yeah.
Now, what about funding? How does the library, stay open?
Okay, so we're funded, but it's always a struggle. Currently, we're facing cuts near our public library as well as across the nation. So we're always looking for opportunities. If folks want to support us, we're currently in advocacy season. Investinlibraries.org. We're going to have folks write letters, things like that. So
you wrote a letter, right?
I have my letter ready.
Yes, thank you.
I did. I work with the New York Public Library. I am an ambassador.
Woo!
And we actually had some programs that we're starting with high schools in New York that have to do with my book club and reading more. So, I'm a big advocate of that. And I grew up going to the library all the time. And I also feel like a lot of times people go and join these co-work spaces, but you really can use the library as a free resource to go and meet with people and do whatever it is you have to do. If you're working on a book, if you're doing research, it's a great place to go. And it's an amazing, like the New York Public Library system is amazing.
Yep. So, and the funding helps a long way because it means, we stay open longer hours. The staffing element's important. If there are no staff,
Right.
how are the kids being engaged when they visit? So
it's like a hot date too, by the way. I was thinking that when I was there. I was like, this is a nice place if you were to come like on a date.
The library?
Yeah, it is actually. I don't know if you've been to the one though in Times Square. It's amazing. Like if you go there and you see all the original like marble that was there, it's really, really like an experience like you've never had before. If there's underground tunnels that go underneath Bryant Park that are like levels, like 7 floors, beneath the library that is,
What's the penalties for not returning books nowadays?
Well,
beheading.
Fine. No, there's not beheading. there are fines. I believe it's still 25 cents for late fees. But we work with folks that come in because we do understand. Sometimes you just want to keep an item a little bit longer. I'm guilty. I have fines.
I was the king of forgetting it.
Yeah.
You probably still have books at home.
I might have one or two.
Yeah, and it's funny because then kids see you out in the neighborhood and they're like, oh my God, there's a librarian. And I was like, I'm not going to arrest you. There's no library police. Just come back, return it, when you can. So.
That's funny. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, so make sure you go to investinlibraries.org and also make sure you get your library card.
Yes, Knowledge is Power.
Yes, I have the cool limited edition Knowledge is Power library card. Yeah. So you can go to nypl.org/library card so you can go ahead and get your library card.
All right. Well, Gesille Dixon, thank you for stopping through.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, it's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.